Today we're at the end of our meeting. We're in Aquarius moon. This is about the radiant zones network. Networking is Aquarius moon, and we've been discussing many cycles, 500-year cycles, 26,000-year cycle, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune cycles, and we have an amazing expert among us from Germany. Her name is Antonia Langsdorf. She's very well known in Germany. Her television show is called Antonia's Sterne, and she's going to say a few things about her book, which she had written a while ago, which was called 2012 in the Center of the Storm. 2012 was that grand date that most of mankind has misunderstood what it was about. But actually the window is still open until 2040, and Antonia is going to explain what's up and why the window is largely still open. In Deutsch heißt ihr Buch 2012 im Zentrum des Sturms.
Hello, my name is Antonia Langsdorf, and thank you very much, Michael St.Clair, for having me at this amazing meeting where a group of great experts from all over the world gathered together to discuss future trends. And they're coming from the field astrology, finances, intelligence, and metaphysics, which is a very unique mixture. And I'm very, very honored that I can be part of this group, and I can present you what I found out about the cosmic cycles today. In my book 2012 in the Center of the Storm, I was discussing why in the years of actually 2008 to 2016 we're at the peak of the times of change we're going through, and 7 major cosmic cycles were all culminating or are all culminating in our time that we're in right now. And one of these cycles is the 500-year Renaissance cycle. In 2006, a group around Raymond Merriman gathered in Tuscany and discussed the signs of the Renaissance back then, 500 years ago, and now. And that it also inspired me to write my book about the times we're in now. So, but let me sum up all the cycles that I found out about, because it becomes really exciting when you're aware of the fact on what a peak time you are at this point. So one of the cycles we are in right now, but it's going to end now, fortunately. I called it the crisis cycles, and it's depicted by a grand cross in the cardinal signs formed by the big outer planets, and Ray Merriman has given it a name called the cardinal climax. And each time the planets are in this alignment, in this grand cross in the skies, they indicate a major crisis in economics, as well as governments, movements of war, and even natural catastrophes. And the cycle that hit now between 2010 and 2015 is the one that 2008 to 2015, 7 years, is the one, of course, that went along with the big banking crash and the financial crisis. And the last one before that happened in 1929, when we had the Black Friday on the stock markets. So that we had very similar constellations then. So that is one of the cycles that we're in now, but this one ends in 2015. That's the good news. So the next cycle that is really exciting is the Neptune cycle. That's a very simple cycle. It's just Neptune one time evolving through the solar system, and it does that every 165 years, and now came back to its ruling sign of Pisces. And Neptune is very strong in its ruling sign, obviously, and I found out that the last time when Neptune was in Pisces, that was the time of the gold rush. I mean, the real physical gold rush, when people, traveled around the world and really dig the gold out of the ground. And now we're having a new kind of gold rush, because the whole world is about gold and how gold can save us against money that's really not real, And I also think there's another rush coming up that might be depicted by Neptune in Pisces, and that is there have been many countries in the US where medical marijuana is now legalized, and there are signs that it's going to be a big, big, big business. The more legalizing of this healthy herb is going on, the more, of course, people will make business with it. And I think that has clearly the sign of Neptune in Pisces. And more than that, Neptune in Pisces also indicates a spiritual awakening. And it's also a sign, it could be a sign of hope that we are making a progress, because what we really have to do is we have to get out of the religious wars that are going on still in the world. And when I wrote this book, I said there might be a spiritual figure that would symbolize that Neptune in Pisces, and I really think that the new Pope that we're having right now could be that figure, because he's very different from the other ones. He really goes in that direction of Neptune, like selfless love, and it's not about power and money like the Catholic Church always was, but this Pope is telling us that it's really about love around the world and helping people. So I think he is a very important figure for Neptune in Pisces. Also, there are other interesting new findings in science. For instance, we find that the evolution is not only about survival of the fittest and the strongest. Evolution is also about cooperation. Yeah, science has found that a principle that's even more powerful than fight is cooperation. So these things are going on, and in combination with Uranus, who is now in Aries, indicating new inventions and breakthroughs in science. I think this combination of Neptune in Pisces and Uranus in Aries is really bringing forth great new discoveries in science and in metaphysics as well. And I think meetings like this meeting, where people who are clearly, scientifically educated, and people who are into finances, and people who are metaphysics, that the fact that these people get together and discuss future trends, that's a very unique new idea, and that also contains the sign of the times that we're in with these cycles. Okay, now let me get to the Renaissance cycle. We had been discussing a 500-year cycle before, and without linking it really to the constellations of the stars, but indeed there is a cycle that formed now, that is exactly the same aspect that formed during the unique time of the Renaissance in the 1400, 1500, and that is a so-called sextile between Pluto and Neptune. And this sextile lasts for about 100 years. And the last time we had that was from 1440 to 1540. And now we're in it again. And it started in 1940, and it's going to last until 2040. And there are more things to it. It started, and during this time window also interesting planetary alignments happened. But let me just talk about this special aspect that lasts for 100 years. Because during that time, in the Renaissance back then, some things happened that really led whole mankind into a quantum jump of consciousness. And one of this was 1440, when Johann von Gutenberg invented the book print. That was so crucial for mankind, because up till then all the knowledge that was in books could only be copied by hand. Yeah, if you wanted to publish a book, somebody had to do with handwriting, and there were only a few copies. And with the book printing, all the knowledge that had been there, all of a sudden it could make available for many, many more people. It took a while, of course, until that really, spread out and got happen. But that was the initial spark, that made knowledge available for everybody. And so that was a very, very important step for mankind. Also during this time, Copernicus proved that the Earth was not the center of the universe, let's so to say, the solar system, but the Sun was the center of the solar system. That also, of course, caused a big shift in consciousness. It was also the time that Columbus discovered America. And so nowadays we say that the Renaissance back then marks the time from the dark Middle Ages into the new time, the new age of enlightenment. So, and there were the giants of the Renaissance are influential until today. Those were artists like Michelangelo, Paracelsus, the great medicine doctor, Botticelli, Martin Luther, Albrecht Dürer, Leonardo da Vinci, and last but not least, Lorenzo de' Medici. And the family of the Medicis really installed the banking system as we have it now. It kind of, it had its first blossoming and its first powerful come out during that Renaissance time. And really back then they had a network of banking of different banks all over Europe. They were very well organized. You know, you could write a check, you could borrow money for interest rate. Everything was like it is today. And it's still there. And now we're in a new time of a new Renaissance. So maybe there's going to be another big change, another big jump also in the financial system. We'll see. Okay, if we compare the Renaissance back then to the Renaissance now, the most important thing I think is that during this time window from 1940 to 2040, the first computer was introduced to the public, and that was 1949. You know, and I would clearly relate this to the invention of the book print in 1440. I think that's the same thing 500 years later. That really was the most gigantic event with the most incredible consequences for mankind. And of course also science is moving along. We discovered, for instance, through chaos mathematics, we discovered that the saying of metaphysics, who are saying as above, so below, it's scientifically true, because chaos mathematics proved that on bigger scales to smaller scales, patterns of nature repeat themselves when you calculate them with mathematical methods. So science is also making big progress, and metaphysics and science are, it's like they're beginning to come back together. They kind of parted during the first Renaissance. The alchemy was big, astrology was big during the Renaissance, and then they parted. During the time of enlightenment, they parted and into science and what people thought was just superstition. But now, due to the internet, astrology is big again, because never has been the knowledge of astrology so available like today. So the computer made it possible for astrology to have a new big time. And by the way, the computer, the internet, and astrology are ruled by the same planet, Uranus. Okay, let me quickly announce two more cycles that are exciting and big and important. Due to the precession of the Earth, precession of the Earth means that the axis of the Earth is not fixed. It moves slowly. So if the projected north point of the Earth, if you project it to the sky, it will describe a circle along the fixed stars. And the time for this circle is 25,800 years. So that's the precession cycle. And during that, and that means that the fixed stars are shifted against our Earth point of spring equinox. So every 2,150 years, the fixed stars change the signs. Yeah? And we have a very important fixed star sign change around 2012 happening, and that's Regulus, the star of the king, who was in Leo for more than 2,000 years, moved now into Virgo in the zodiac. And that has a very, very strong meaning, because the meaning is that we have been Leo, we have been partying, we have been reigning the earth, the earth was there to serve us. And now with Virgo, I think the meaning is that now we are there to serve the earth in the sense of, that we all want to survive, so we have to be environmentally conscious. And I think that's a very important sign of the sky, is to remind us to that. And this summer, 2015, Jupiter will enter the sign of Virgo and will be conjunct Regulus on 0 degrees of Virgo, and will enhance this important subject for us all. And then the Maya cycle. Everything, people were really excited in 2012 about saying the Mayan calendar comes to an end. Does that mean that the world comes to an end? I really don't know how this hype could have been so strong. But I talked to a Mayan professor who travels to the original places where the Mayans had their buildings and talk to him. And all the people who are really scientifically into it and know the field say there's no sign that the Mayan calendar ended. It's just that it completed a cycle and a new cycle is going to begin. And if you count 5 of these big Maya cycles, you have the time that is approximately just as much as the Precession cycle. 5 Maya times are 25,625 years, and the Precession cycle is 25,800 years. So maybe the Mayans, who were obsessed stargazers, already knew about the precession of the Earth. And then there was a saying also in 2012, everybody said there's going to be a cosmic alignment. There's been alignment, and that's going to shift the that's going to be a big shift, and that could cause natural disasters on Earth. And so I went and wanted to find out what kind of alignment would that be, because in 2012, the magic date, 21st of September of 2012, there was not such a planetary alignment in the solar system. So I thought, what did they mean? And I found, together with a fellow astrologer who had been doing a lot of research on that the galactic nodes, just as the moon nodes in the solar system, we have galactic nodes too. And she said that these galactic nodes are shifting sign too. They're shifting from Sagittarius, Gemini, to 0 degrees of Capricorn and Cancer, and also completing this big cycle that is almost 26,000 years long. And there's also a shift now, and this indicates, that's my theory, it indicates that the field of genetics, the science that is trying to find out everything about the human genome and trying to manipulate it for reasons of health, or that we might go in a direction where we're trying to optimize our children, that would be, I think, depicted by the axis of Capricorn Cancer that the galactic nodes are entering now. So this is going to be, I think that's going to be a big, big, big thing in the future. We don't talk much about it now because we have so many other problems to solve. But I do think that this is a future trend to be aware of for the future, as in the sense of investment as well as in the sense of the moralistic implications it comes with. So this would be the 7th of these big cycles that we're in, and they're all coming due in this time window that aligns with the time window of the Renaissance. So that's what I found out, and it's all in detail described in my book 2012 in the Center of the Storm, which also contains predictions for each sign until 2020. It's available in German under the name of 2012 im Zentrum des Sturms. Okay, I hope I could give you some clues, and thank you again for having me on this interesting meeting, and I hope this great group is going to get together again one time. Thank you.